Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday, April 11th, 2025. Now, born on this date in 1899, chemist Percy Julian of Montgomery. He broke ground in synthesizing medicines from plants, cortisone and hydrocortisone, for example, and he held 130 patents. Today, we're going to bring back the Alabama News Quiz and welcome back AL.com's executive producer for podcasting, John Hammondtree, to sit in the hot seat. We'll go ahead and also open up future dates for listeners. We record these quizzes early afternoon Thursdays. Now, if you'd like to come on the show and take the quiz and are available for around a half an hour on Thursday afternoons, send me an email at imorgan, IMORGAN, at AL.com with the word quiz in the subject line. And we'll pick names at random and try to get you scheduled. First, though, we're going to get started today with an update on another financially strapped university, gun charges for a city magistrate, Bruce Pearl's new non-basketball position, and possibly a new water park. My name's Ike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama.
The NBA playoffs are here, and I'm getting my bets in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know?
All sorts of interesting stuff, even Charles Barkley's greatest fear.
Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers bet $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus and present in Virginia. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Well, Talladega College is not done yet. AL.com's Walisha Morris reports that the 150-year-old HBCU secured a $15 million loan from Mississippi's Hope Federal Credit Union in its efforts to shake off its financial struggles. Talladega College had already reduced payroll and cut several non-revenue sports. To give you an idea how big that $15 million loan is, the school's 2023 budget was $34 million. Next up for the school is hiring a new president and, of course, paying back that loan. An arrest warrant was issued for the Tarrant City magistrate who was seen on video, gun in hand, outside City Hall after a dispute with a resident in traffic court, reports AL.com's Joseph D. Bryant. Tanelia Jackson was charged with possession of a firearm in a public building that prohibits weapons. Now, that's a Class C misdemeanor, which could result in a fine up to $500 and up to 3 months in jail. Auburn men's basketball coach Bruce Pearl is the new chairman of the U.S.-Israel Education Association's Board of Directors, reports AL.com's Mark Heim. The nonprofit group educates leaders who are involved in communications between the two countries, U.S. and Israel. Pearl became involved with the organization after he was invited to its 2019 Partners Tour to Israel. He's credited that trip with inspiring him to join the board of directors 4 years ago. And a new water park could be opening in Mobile, reports AL.com's Margaret Cates. The Mobile County Commission announced a partnership with Leisure Sports and Recreation Group out of Louisiana to build Jubilee Park on 90 acres on Halls Mill Road. Now, that's next to the site of a future aquatic center and a 10-field soccer complex. The vision is for Jubilee Park to include not only your standard water slide, wave pool, and, of course, lazy river, but also indoor multi-use space, RV and bungalow sites, an indoor water park, restaurants, and stores. See, part of the idea there is that the site would still do business even during months that the water park is closed. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and then finish this week off with a brand new Alabama News Quiz. Y'all stay with us.
Every day, thousands of Comcast engineers and technologists, like Kunle, put people at the heart of everything they create.
In the average household, there are dozens of connected devices. Here in the Comcast family, we're building an integrated in-home Wi-Fi solution for millions of families like my own. It brings people together in meaningful ways.
Kunle and his team are building a Wi-Fi experience that connects 1 billion devices every year. Learn more about how Comcast is redefining the future of connectivity at comcastcorporation.com/Wi-Fi.
The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. The Department of Defense is working with Google to help secure America's digital defense systems, from establishing cloud-based zero-trust solutions to deploying the latest AI technology. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American Innovation.
Hey, thanks for staying with us, everybody. Hey, we can tell that a lot of new listeners have joined the show, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here, and we're going to try to do our best to keep your trust as we do these news updates and these segments. If you haven't noticed already, we like to do news briefings every day, and at the top of every show. That's our bread and butter. We get you in and get you out. And then if you have time for it, we like to do some longer second segments when we get a chance. We love to bring in reporters or whoever, people from the community. Well, one thing that we have done in the past is have a news quiz, an Alabama news quiz. I think it's a great way to review a week or so's worth of Alabama news, because you can't catch everything. And to put somebody in the hot seat, ask them some questions, try to, we might even pick on them with a buzzer when they get the question wrong or the answer wrong. But I forgot my buzzer today.
Lucky me.
We have in the studio with us, you've heard from him before, John Hammondtree, the executive producer for podcasts for AL.com. John, glad to have you in here.
It is always a pleasure, Ike. You know I love this show.
And we like having you here. I know you listen almost every day, and I really appreciate that, because that way I know somebody's listening, right? But did you catch the one we did on the baseball movies the other day?
I did. I was one of, I assume, dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of listeners who was disappointed that The Sandlot never went off the board. It was just an honorable mention because that was the baseball movie of my youth. But I grew up in the era of, Rookie of the Year and Little Big League, a bunch of movies that were like, what if a kid was involved with a Major League Baseball team?
Yeah, those movies were a little more palatable to the parents also. I did the movies that were very R-rated, Major League, just full of vulgarities, but became classics, and that's what we kind of went with.
Absolutely.
Maybe you can answer this. I know I got you here, so I'm going to ask you about movies, but it just occurred to me. During the 80s, I always felt like they were adding cuss words to movies to maybe get them to an R rating so they would seem cooler. Do you know any? You're a movie guy. Do you think that's what they did?
I feel like before you had PG-13, you're probably right that if you were already, flirting with the R, you might as well lean all the way into it. And then once you added PG-13 in the mix, like after Temple of Doom and all that, sometime in the mid-'80s, they probably had to rein some of that back in to get from R to PG-13, whereas maybe the gap from PG to R was a little wider. But
yeah. I guess it just depends on how different rated movies are doing at the box office. Say, one more question. How's your Roth IRA doing?
Well, I may struggle on this week's news quiz because, like I'm guessing most Americans, most people around the world, I spent the week kind of staring slack-jawed at my 401k, watching the number go down, and then yesterday, or on I guess Wednesday, the number suddenly go up, and then on Thursday the number go down again. So it's been a weird news week for all of us, I think, Ike.
I think there is a lot of money to be had in being able to predict the moves of this administration because, boy, you could have came away with some cash after this week.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you figure that out, you retire and I'll retire with you. And we'll set up a different kind of podcast.
I've given up on retirement, but maybe that's the plan. That could be the plan. Hey, you want to take a news quiz?
Let's do it, man.
Let me just jump in here and do it. Again, folks, I'm sorry I don't have my buzzer with me. I know people like to hear that when folks get them wrong.
I don't think you'll need it, Ike. I think we're all set.
There's no lack of cockiness, folks, in the AL.com newsroom. You're not Ben Flanagan level cocky, but you're up there.
No. He's the big boss.
All right. Question 1. Which of these Alabama brands recently sold a significant part of its business? Now, if you know the answer, don't just jump right in. Let me read them so that folks can sort of play along at home. Which of these Alabama brands recently sold a significant part of its business? Buffalo Rock, Conecuh Sausage, Vulcan Materials, or Fly High Worm Farm?
That's definitely Buffalo Rock. They sold off their vending machines.
Very good. That's absolutely right. I knew you'd get that one.
As long as they keep making the ginger ale, we're good. They can sell whatever else they need to.
You enjoy the ginger ale?
I love the ginger ale with a little bit of Buffalo Rock and bourbon. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the bourbon would probably help. I'm not putting it down. It's a little bit of a bite for me. But
right. You need the bourbon. You need the sweetness of the bourbon to cut the bite of the ginger ale. But
do ginger ale and Coke, or they actually make Grapico also? Or yeah, I could mix those.
Well, I'm not mixing Grapico with bourbon. I'll tell you that. But I like a Grapico as much as the next person.
That's right. All right, you got that one right. Let's move on to question number 2. 3 Alabama state lawmakers got a surprise this week when they checked their mail to find this. Was it surrendered Glock switches, free tickets to a Jason Isbell concert, pornographic images, or a cash solicitation request from USAID?
I believe that was pornographic images.
That absolutely was pornographic images. I'm not sure how I would take that if I got to the office and had porn.
Yeah, I'm not going to offer any details or commentary to that one. I'll just let it stand as it is. I guess they probably had to show their IDs in order to access them. So.
Right. Question number 3. Recent data indicate that Mountain Brook easily has the highest typical home prices in the state at more than $900,000. Who's in a distant second place? Is that Vestavia Hills, Orange Beach, Equality, or Ozark, down yonder in Ozark?
I believe that was Orange Beach,
Yes.
much to the chagrin of all the Vestavians.
That's right, that was Orange Beach. You had some lake properties and some south of Birmingham properties in Orange Beach. But yeah, the Mountain Brook price, I know there are a lot of homes north of $1 million, but for $900,000 to be typical, and he called it typical, I guess, because it's not necessarily in that moment a perfect average, but
Well, I'm a Mountain Brook alum, Ike, and I can tell you that it certainly wasn't that. It was not that high when I was growing up, and I find it a little bit hard to believe that it's that high right now. But it is. It's not cheap. We'll put it that way.
well, for what I've paid for something way outside of Mountain Brook, I'm not too surprised. Home prices are crazy everywhere.
Absolutely.
At least, relatively speaking. But and of course, people in other states look at us and go, "What are you complaining about?"
I'll say this: if the economy does go upside down, the last time that happened, a lot of homes went on the market in Mountain Brook real quick, and that could happen again. So there's a lot of people who are tied up in that. But
And down on the coast, there were a lot of half-built homes that didn't quite get built for a while.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to question number. What are we on? 4? You've already gotten 3 right.
I think so.
It's question number 4. All right, let's see what I can do with this. digging a little deeper here. An actor from Birmingham recently had a birthday that we mentioned on the show. We like to do the born on this date at the top. In which one of the following did an Alabama native play Trapper John McIntyre? Now, was it MASH the movie, MASH the series, Trapper John MD, or Ghosts of Mississippi?
Oh, jeez. I think this is like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? It feels too obvious, but I think it's Trapper John MD. Is it not?
Is it okay?
That's my guess. That's my guess.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
No, it's not. Trapper John MD. Wayne Rogers was the Birmingham-born actor who played Trapper John on MASH the series.
MASH the series. Okay. All right. All right.
So the one most people, well, I say most people know. I would assume so, but
I think that's the one most people know. Yeah.
Trapper John MD was a really, really popular show in the 80s. I don't know that it's had the shelf life, though.
No, and for a long time, the MASH finale still held the title for most watched television show episode ever. I can't remember what passed it, but I think that it by far would have been the most watched of all those things. So
I didn't realize it had been passed.
I think so. I'll fact check myself, and if I'm wrong, then you can add an addendum to this.
Okay. Yeah.
It may have been Friends that passed it, or it may have been something else, but I can't remember. But
okay. Well, speaking of Friends, in the movie, Trapper John was played by Elliot Gould, who was Ross and Monica's dad on Friends, and Ruben in Ocean's 11.
That's right. That's right. He's not from Alabama, as far as I know.
He is definitely not from Alabama.
And I also need to correct the record. I was wrong. MASH has not been passed. In fact, I don't think it will ever be passed because 106 million people watched that finale. So that will never happen again. Seinfeld had 76.3 million people, and nothing's been close since then.
Trapper John MD had a different actor play the character. It was actually Pernell Roberts,
okay,
who is also known as Adam Cartwright from Bonanza, which two different looking guys, but same actor.
Got it. Good to know. Good to know. All right. Well, you trip me up. I listen every day, but I don't always necessarily follow the birthdays as closely as I should. Maybe
you had to dig really, really deep on that one. Question number 5. This you're going to have to reach back a week and see how your memory is. As per usual in the springtime, the weather has been as fickle as an equity fund over the past couple of weeks. Try to remember a full week ago, Thursday, April 3rd, a week in one day. The weather in Montgomery did what? Did it tie their record high, tie the record low, tie the highest single-day rainfall for an April day, or cause the mosquitoes to migrate to Greenland?
I think that was the rainy day, right? I think it was the tide for the rain, or the rainfall. Yeah, I think option 3.
That is not correct. We had some rain after Thursday evening.
Then it's Then it had to be the hottest day.
Yeah. Thursday.
Because the cold snap was this week. Okay.
That's right. Thursday was the really, really hot day, and then you had over the next couple of days you had flooding. John, I appreciate it. I knew those two questions would really stump me.
I should have known the heat one. The Trapper John one, I took a guess and I was wrong, but I should have known the heat because the rain was over the weekend. But.
Yeah. It requires being able to remember through really cold, freezing weather, rain, and heat, and getting your days right. But thanks for doing it. You are a great sport. I enjoyed having you so much I didn't bring the buzzer. So,
well, Ike, I will say if people like listening to this show, I know you plug the digital editions that we do over on AL.com all the time. But next week we are starting a trial where we were going to start putting some of our colleagues' columns and eventually some news articles. We're going to do audio versions of those too for digital edition subscribers. So we're going to start with John Archibald and kind of work our way out from there. So if you like listening to the news, the digital edition is just another way to find that. So check it out.
And they'll put this in there too, right?
That's right. Well, this is in there every day. That's right. That's right.
All right, John. Well, I appreciate it. And thanks out there, everybody, for listening to us. We will be back. Let's see, what day is this? We'll be back about Monday morning. Till then, as always, we're open 24 hours a day and 7 days a week on the World Wide Web at al.com.